Hi, my name is Kiana Kadinger. I am going to provide a short presentation about the presentation that I did and just kind of talk about the evaluation of that presentation. Okay, so my objectives are I'm going to give a summary of my presentation I gave on childhood mood disorders, and then I'm going to evaluate the effectiveness of my presentation, and then just kind of give a wrap up of the whole experience. All right, so my plan for this presentation was to provide information about mood disorders in children. I realized that my target audience would be individuals who spent a significant amount of time interacting with children without the benefit of counseling professionals to let them know what they were looking for and what to do about it. The information that I felt was important to include was one, the symptoms of the different mood disorders, providing an effective way to screen the children by being able to observe their behaviors, give them the best ways to present the information to the parents once the behaviors were identified. Um, Also, be able to provide the parents with outside resources to be able to get more help with the situation. And then also just to discuss with the workers in the daycare how to best manage the behaviors in the classroom. So, upon reviewing the Healthy People 2020-2030, I noted that one of their goals was to improve mental health in the youth population. Furthermore, when looking at the community health assessment of Johnson County, it was obvious that there is a disparity in the area of mental health in general, but especially amongst the youth. The ratio of people to mental health professionals or providers was almost 1,600 to 1, and that need for mental health increased with the COVID pandemic. So, after selecting a topic that needed to be addressed, I then needed to identify the best place to present the information. So I picked daycare workers because they spend so much time with the children and in general have a vested interest in what is in the child's best interest. Um, I also felt like that they would have again that interest in the program because learning this information and how to effectively manage the behaviors would ultimately make their job easier in the long run. So I chose the daycare child called Child Time, mostly because that's where my daughter attended the daycare, but also because they are highly rated in the state. Their staff are mostly college educated individuals who would be able to, who I felt would be able to receive this information, understand, and immediately apply it to their job that they were doing. I met with the director of Child Time, her name was Tanya Scott, and talked to her about the information I wanted to present and verified with her that she and her staff felt it would be useful for their environment. I plan to do more presentations during the facility's education days, um, at a time when they knew that's what they were going to be there for was for the education, and also where there were no students around to or no children around to be able to distract them. Unfortunately, because of the time constraint, I had to make a little bit of a change and do a smaller presentation during after hours with a small uh, amount of staff that were available to be able to do the presentation to. So that is what I did, but I will do more presentations in the future, like I said, during their education days. Um, so the whole presentation included a PowerPoint presentation, similar to this one. They also received a post test and then a screening tool for the staff to be able to use when observing the children's behaviors. I was able to evaluate the effectiveness of this presentation in a few ways. Again, there was a post-test evaluation that was able to kind of assess how much of the information had been retained. I will also include this post-test. There was an evaluation given to the students, excuse me, to the staff at the end of the presentation, again, which will be attached to this particular presentation I'm doing right now. The evaluation was able to assess how the staff themselves felt about how the information was provided to them in the presentation, and also if felt like it was going to be useful to them in the future. And then also I needed to kind of decide whether my goals were accomplished. So pretty much was I able to provide this information to them in a way that they were able to not only understand but were able to easily use. So I plan to continue to follow up with Tanya and the staff to see if they could in fact identify at least 2 children who may fit the criteria. I want to find out if they were able to use the screening tool that I provided to them, um, and if it was easy, easy to use and accurate and effective. And then see if they were able to actually use the tools that I gave them as well to be able to talk to the family and also be able to provide them with uh, referrals to outside resources after the behaviors had been identified. All right, so in this presentation, I found it was helpful to be able to keep the information short and simple, just because they just provide them with information that they could use in real time instead of a lot of statistics and numbers. It made it easier for them to engage because they were able to use stories that they actually had um, and use experiences that they had and be able to relate that to the information that I was presenting. They did seem to enjoy it and were able to, as I said, able to engage with their own stories and experiences. Um, and then I was able to use solution focused ideas, which essentially just meant being able to use it as a positive instead of saying what are these children doing wrong. I kind of present it in a way where it's more about looking at when they are not doing the behavior, what changed, and that way we're able to give the child positive reinforcement and also able to um, present it in a more positive light for everyone involved. If you haven't been able to tell, I do have some presentation anxiety, which is something that I am working on. This presentation has helped me with that, be a little more prepared and to kind of understand where my anxiety lies. I would also like to be able to give better answers to some of the questions, just essentially to be able to obtain more information about it. In time, I'll do more research and be able to collaborate with therapists who and healthcare, excuse me, mental health professionals who um, have more information and where childhood mood disorders is kind of their specialty. All right, so again, I would like to be able to. I'm going to keep the discussion points, keeping the solution focused concept, to keep it more positive, and and then also along with that positivity comes just the way that I presented it, in a fun, humor driven way. Again, just because it helps people kind of relate to the idea of children when you do it in a lighthearted way. Um, when I give the presentation in the future, I will be able to allow more time for discussion. Again, the biggest part about it was being able to give the staff time to think of times when they had seen these behaviors and be able to apply it to what I'm telling them. And so the more that they were able to do that, the more they were able to understand. Um, on that same line, um, I would like to have more videos and more visual examples to provide to the staff. All right, so um, I would love for this to be able to go further into other communities, um, because I do believe that this will help increase the portion of youth who are able to get help for their mental health issues, for their mood disorder issues. So there's two goals that I'm hoping to be able to address, which is reducing youth age 12 to 18 who are experiencing major depressive episodes, and also increasing the number of children who get the mental health treatment that they need. So again, this is just one daycare facility, but I would like to be able to perfect this presentation and this whole program to be able to use it in different daycares throughout the community and maybe even throughout the state and the country. Um, so my immediate, again, is being able to see it work in this daycare, being able to see them, um, be able to identify some children and follow through with getting them the help that they need. And then long term, I want to be able to make this a program that makes it so that children with these mood disorders are able to be identified early and treated, and long-term complications can be hopefully prevented. All right, so again, the perspective that needs to be changed is that starting it with the community is a huge step to being able to do big change, global change. Um, Being able to do this, be effective, be successful, then that means that this is something that, again, hopefully it can go farther. It can become something that they can use in, um, statewide. Hopefully one day this will be a program that I can be seen and that can be seen in daycares, schools, anywhere where children are seen on a constant basis across the country, and maybe even throughout the world. So, thank you very much for listening to my presentation. And here are my references.